Level 1. The Recruit. You're 19. You didn't grow up dreaming of a shield and a baton. You grew up dreaming of stability, a paycheck, something solid in an unstable world. The application was 3 pages. The physical test was brutal. You passed anyway. Day 1, they take your name and give you a number. You sleep in a dormitory with 30 others. The beds are narrow. The walls are concrete. The schedule is posted on a board, and it does not ask for your opinion. Wake up is 5:30 a.m. You run in formation. You fall out of step once. The entire group runs an extra lap. Nobody says anything to you directly. They don't have to. 29 pairs of eyes say enough. Training is 8 weeks. Crowd simulation, defensive formations, baton technique, gas mask drills. You practice holding a line while instructors scream in your face, pushing, shoving, calling you weak. You do not break. One evening, a recruit named Torres whispers that this feels less like training and more like conditioning. You don't respond. But you think about it for 3 days. Week 6, live simulation. A crowd of instructors charges your line. You hold your shield up. Someone grabs your arm. Your instinct says, pull back. Your training says, hold the line. You hold the line. At the end of week 8, you receive your uniform. Pressed black. Heavy boots. A helmet that smells like the man who wore it before you. Nobody claps. Nobody celebrates. You're handed an assignment. You ship out Monday. Level 2. The line officer. You're 21. Your first real deployment is a labor strike outside a textile factory in the industrial district. 300 workers, handmade signs, chanting, and some are old enough to be your parents. You stand in formation, shield up, visor down. You can't see faces clearly through the polycarbonate. That's not an accident. Orders come through the radio. Hold position. Do not advance. Do not engage unless commanded. An hour passes. Then 2. A bottle strikes the officer beside you. Glass scatters. The line tightens. Your commander's voice crackles. Prepare to advance. You move forward. The crowd splits. Some run. Some don't. A woman in a red coat stands still, arms out, not threatening, just standing. Your line moves around her. You don't make eye contact. That night in the barracks, someone asks if it felt wrong. You say nothing. But you remember the red coat. You remember it for a long time. Over the next 2 years, you work 14 deployments, political rallies, stadium riots, university protests, fuel price demonstrations. Each one is different. Each one starts the same way. A crowd with a grievance, a line of shields. Tension that lives in the space between. You stop counting the deployments after the 9th. You stop asking why after the 11th. By the 12th, you move on instinct. Hold. Advance. Contain. Disperse. You're efficient now. Efficiency gets noticed. Level 3, the sergeant. You're 26. You command a unit of 12 officers. You're not the strongest in the unit. You're the most consistent. That's what got you here. You brief your team before every deployment. You check equipment. You check composure. A nervous officer is a dangerous officer. You learned that early. There's a young officer under your command. Name's Reyes. Sharp instincts, fast on his feet, but he asks too many questions. While you're after a university demonstration, he approaches you quietly. Sarge, those kids weren't armed. Were we really necessary? You look at him for a long moment. You tell him to write his incident report and get some sleep. You don't report him. But you watch him more carefully after that. 2 weeks later, there's a night deployment. A neighborhood protest. 3rd consecutive evening. Residents angry over a proposed demolition. Families. Children on balconies watching. Someone throws a firecracker. The line flinches. You don't flinch. Your unit holds formation. You call it clean. No escalation. No injuries. Your commander pulls you aside afterward. That's how it's done. You nod. But on the drive back, you think about the children on the balconies. You think about what they're going to remember when they grow up. Or you don't write that down anywhere. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, Comment what you want next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We upload every single day. Level 4, the lieutenant. You're 30. You're no longer in the line. You're behind it. You coordinate. You communicate between commanders on the ground and supervisors in the operations room. You see the whole picture now, not just the shield in front of your face. The picture is more complicated than you expected. Deployments are planned days in advance. Intelligence briefings, crowd behavior assessments, projected headcounts, exit route mapping. You sit in rooms with city officials, legal advisors, and press liaisons. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone uses careful language. Maintaining public order, managing civil unrest. Proportionate response, words that sound clean in a conference room. You oversee a major deployment at a public square. Thousands of protesters. International press present. Your orders are clear. Contain, do not engage unless there is direct threat to officers or infrastructure. It holds for 4 hours. Then a flare is fired from somewhere in the crowd. It lands near a vehicle. Your radio explodes with voices. One commander calls for an advance without authorization. You countermand it immediately. Hold your positions. I say again, hold. The situation de-escalates within 20 minutes. No serious injuries. The press reports it as restrained. Your superiors are pleased. But the commander you countermanded files a complaint. Says you undermined his authority in the field. There's a review. 3 meetings. Nothing formal comes of it. But his name comes up in conversations, yours doesn't. You understand something now. Being right in the field isn't always the same as being right in the building. Level 5. The inspector. You're 35. You oversee multiple units across an entire district. You're responsible for staffing, training standards, equipment procurement, and incident reviews. You spend more time reading reports than writing them. A disturbing pattern emerges. 3 incidents in 4 months, all different locations, all involving the same complaint. Excessive force during dispersal. 2 of the 3 involved officers from the same unit. You open an internal review. The unit commander is a 15-year veteran, decorated, connected. He coached 3 of the current department leaders in their early years. His performance record is spotless, but the footage doesn't match the reports. You take it upstairs. Your superior listens carefully, reviews the file, then leans back. These things are complicated. Context matters. The optics of pursuing this aren't ideal right now. You push back carefully. The documentation is clear. There's a long pause. The review proceeds, but narrowly. 2 officers receive retraining. The commander receives a formal advisement, which is almost nothing. The complaints are closed. You sign the paperwork. That night, you sit in your car for a long time before going inside. You told yourself years ago that you'd never sign something you didn't believe in. You believed that when you were 19. Level 6, the commander. You're 40. You run an entire riot response division. Hundreds of officers. Multiple active units. A budget. A press office. A direct line to the city's public safety directorate. Your name appears in newspapers now, not always favorably. A protest turns violent in the Eastern District. Officers under your command deploy tear gas. A 16-year-old is struck by a canister at close range. She's hospitalized. Photographs spread within the hour. By morning, your name is in every headline. There are calls for your resignation. A city council hearing is scheduled. Your superiors publicly express concern while privately telling you to stay calm and say nothing inflammatory. The internal investigation finds the deployment was within protocol, but protocol doesn't answer the question of whether the protocol itself was right. You testify at the council hearing. You speak about training, about proportionality, about the difficulty of managing volatile situations in real time. You speak carefully. Afterward, a council member approaches you privately. You handled that well, but the optics will follow you. You already knew that. You don't sleep well for weeks, not because of the headlines, because every time you close your eyes, you see the canister trajectory on the incident footage, And you know, in the part of yourself that still remembers being a recruit, that closer range was wrong. You never say that publicly. Level 7, the Deputy Commissioner. You're 45. You sit in a glass office. City skyline behind you. Your name is on the door. You have an assistant, a communications team, and a standing weekly meeting with the Commissioner herself. Riot response is now one of 12 divisions under your oversight. You think about operational details less. You think about policy more. Legislation around crowd control, international standards, human rights frameworks, equipment reviews, accountability structures. You commission an independent study on de-escalation training. The findings recommend a significant shift in tactical doctrine, less confrontational posture, more communication-based intervention. You champion it internally. It's met with resistance. Old guard commanders push back hard. This isn't what works in the field. You're going to get officers killed listening to academics. You push the reform through anyway. Partially. A pilot program. 4 units. 18 months. The results are positive. Fewer injuries on both sides. Faster de-escalation times. Lower redeployment rates. You present the findings to the Commissioner. She nods and considers. Then tells you the timing isn't right for a full rollout. There's an election coming. The incumbent needs to appear strong on public safety. Reform reads as weakness in an election year. The pilot program is quietly shelved. You write a memo documenting your recommendation and the response. You file it where it won't easily disappear. You're learning that in this building, the things you protect yourself with aren't shields. They're paper trails. Level 8. The Commissioner. You're 50. Your appointment makes the front page. Interviews. Profiles. Photographs outside headquarters. The first officer in your department's history to have served at every operational tier before reaching this office. That detail gets mentioned in every article. You take it seriously. Your first year brings 2 major crises. A citywide transit strike that paralyzes the downtown core for 11 days. And a demonstration that turns into 3 consecutive nights of confrontation in the Port District. You manage both personally. You're in the operations room. You take calls at 3 a.m. You make decisions in real time that will be second-guessed in daylight. You get most of them right. But on the 3rd night of the Port District unrest, a unit commander acts without authorization. A crowd is pushed toward a dead-end street. 43 people are arrested in a confined space in under 8 minutes. The tactic is later ruled unlawful by an independent review board. You didn't order it. You didn't know it was happening until it was done. But your name is at the top of the organizational chart. The mayor calls you into her office. I need you to understand the position this puts us in. You understand completely. That's not the same as agreeing. You accept public accountability. You do not accept that accountability alone fixes what happened. You implement mandatory body camera compliance for all operational units. You restructure the authorization chain so no commander can escalate without real-time sign-off. Some see it as leadership. Some see it as self-preservation. Both are probably right. Level 9. The Scapegoat. You're 54. There's been another incident, not in your city, in another jurisdiction entirely. But a national conversation has ignited. Riot police, use of force, systemic accountability. Your department is now a reference point in every editorial, every panel discussion, every political speech. You become the face of a debate you didn't start. A new administration takes office. The incoming public safety minister wants to signal reform. She needs a visible gesture. Your contract, due for renewal, is quietly not renewed. No hearing, no formal removal, just a meeting with the deputy minister and a prepared statement thanking you for your service. You're 54. You have 35 years in this institution. You have commendations, reforms, policy documents, a restructured authorization chain, and a pilot program that worked and was ignored. None of that is in the statement. You walk out of headquarters for the last time on a Wednesday afternoon. The building keeps moving. Phones still ring. Radios still crackle. A new appointment is announced within the week. Younger, more politically aligned. No operational background to speak of. You watch the announcement from your living room. You don't comment publicly. Level 10, the witness. You're 60. You consult now. Think tanks, university panels, the occasional government working group that needs someone with operational credibility in the room. You speak carefully and honestly, which means you are invited back less and less. You watch your former department on the news. A new protest, a new deployment, a new controversy. The footage looks familiar. The language in the press release looks familiar. You wrote a version of that press release yourself once. At level 6, at level 8, you know exactly what it's designed to do and what it's designed to avoid saying. You're asked to appear on a panel about reform. You accept. You say the things you couldn't say at commissioner. That protocol is not the same as ethics. That accountability without structural change is theater. That the hardest thing about wearing that uniform isn't the violence you face, it's the silence you're asked to maintain. The moderator moves quickly to the next question. The clip circulates anyway. You get 3 calls that week. 2 from former officers who say thank you. 1 from a current official who strongly advises you to be more measured in your public statements. You think about Torres, the recruit from week 1, who said it felt like conditioning. You think about Reyes, who asked if you were really necessary. You think about the children on those balconies, watching. You think about the red coat. You were never just climbing ranks. You were being tested, level by level, on how much of yourself you were willing to trade for the next one. And the hardest truth, the one nobody tells you at graduation, is this. The institution never remembers. Only you do.